Okay, so we all know the number one wealth killer in America, cars, but no one really ever talks about the number one wealth builder. And when you look up videos on personal finance, all you get is stuff about investing or saving money or starting a business, but no one really talks about the common denominator in finance, which is you, the person. So, as someone that lost a lot of money in my first 2 years of working, built up to a net worth of $100,000 by the time I was 27 on a teacher's salary. Wow. And I'm on track to hit about $350,000 in net worth by next year when I'm 32. I want to share with you the 7 characteristics of someone that can actually build wealth, like real wealth, not the Gucci Prada that you see people wear and flaunt as a sign of wealth, like money in the bank wealth. So the first thing I want to talk about is how business models and opportunities are all distractions. Thinking that this business model will make you more money or this stock will make you more money, they're all distractions from the real thing that actually makes you money. And it's the idea that your pay is directly related to the problem that you solve. I used to overglorify whatever the latest opportunity was until I realized that every business actually just solves a problem. And so if you want to build income or wealth, you just need to get really good at solving a problem that people care about. And you don't even have to do that through a business. You can do that in your job. You just have to solve problems that people are willing to pay more money for. And so instead of thinking about the latest stock or the latest business opportunity to pursue, what you really should be thinking about is what kind of problems you want to solve. And I didn't realize this until I watched the Caleb Hammer video. I didn't realize how financially illiterate some people are. And so that kind of ignited a need in me to address that problem, like financial literacy. Like growing up, I always thought financial literacy was common sense, but now I realize I was just a product of really good parenting and that there's a lot of people that could benefit from learning more about how to properly manage their money and the characteristics of someone that can manage their money. And so the first characteristics of someone that will grow wealth and build wealth is they are problem solvers and they constantly look for bigger and bigger problems to solve, and in that process they become more valuable in the marketplace, whether it's through a business or a job. They trust in themselves, not whatever is on trend. Okay, a second characteristic of someone that can actually build wealth. I spend so many years just reading, trying to read a book a month and trying to do self-improvement and improve, but at the end of the day, nothing changed. And eventually I came to a point where I realized that learning and knowledge is actually overrated. It's execution that is king. It doesn't matter how many books or videos or podcasts I consume. What actually mattered was me going up to my boss and being like, hey, is there work that you have that I can help out with? And my boss being like, sure, do this. And me being like, oh, cool. And then flash forward 6 months, I have a stipend for doing that job, or I get a promotion for doing that job, or I teach less. I'm a teacher, by the way. I teach less because I get to do a higher value job. And over time, as I pursue these higher value opportunities, more money comes into my way because the marketplace rewards people that can do work that not very many other people can do or are willing to do. And so execution and implementation and learning that way beats reading about it 100% of the time. And our speed of execution, how fast we take action after we come across an opportunity to do so, is directly related to how accomplished we end up. So the next time you read a nonfiction or personal development book, anytime you come across something that you can do from the book, put the book down and do the thing. And don't pick the book up until you've mastered the thing. But sometimes even if you do the thing, you still fail, which is why this next concept is helpful. In fact, I've failed a lot in making money. Like I've lost way too much money, more than I should have, in the stock market. And I've always blamed it on the market or the government or economics or how I wasn't taught properly. But I realized that none of those things actually empowered me to make a change. What actually empowered me to make a change was to realize that everything was my fault. Like, I made the decision. I lost the money. I need to be accountable to that. And the funny thing is, when I think that way, it actually means that I have some kind of agency over the situation. Like, oh, you lost money again and again and again and again, investing in individual stocks in the stock market. Well, maybe you should stop doing that. If I didn't take responsibility for my own actions, I might be jumping from one opportunity to the next. So accountability gives purpose. Like, if you actually want to build wealth, you have to realize that the condition you are in today is a result of your past decisions. And even if it was because of things that happened to you, you now have the ability to change your situation. But that's never going to happen until you are accountable to who you are today, so you can create who you want to be in the future. The next thing that I want to talk about is the idea that not all skills were created equal, but that's okay because we can stack different skills. For example, I'm a teacher, and so that by itself is a pretty low value skill because, I mean, who wants to go to school, right? But if I combine my skill in teaching and education with my passion in personal finance, then all of a sudden I'm teaching people how to improve their financial situations. And that is a big pain point that a lot of people do want to improve. Like, I want to get better with my finances, and so I want to help other people get better with their finances too. And if I'm able to do that, like, how much value would that bring to someone else's life? A lot more than learning supply and demand in the classroom, in a high school. And so I want you to think about, what skill are you building at your job right now? And if you're not building a skill, you should probably get a different job. And what can you stack that skill with in the future so you combine skills and become a more valuable person? The next characteristic of someone that's building wealth successfully is the value of making money isn't to look rich. The value of making money is to keep playing the game, is to keep making money. I used to believe that if I only had X, fill in the blank, then I would be happy. But now I realize that having the option to buy something is a lot better than buying the actual thing. Because once I buy the actual thing, that drive is kind of gone. When I was a little kid, I had always wanted a Burberry scarf. I thought that if I bought a Burberry scarf and I wore it in front of everyone, that's a sign that I made it. It's $1,000 scarf. It's a lot of money. But when I bought the scarf, I realized that I didn't even really need it. I don't even really wear scarves. And I don't really care for what other people thought about it. And so I realized that me having that extra $1,000, like me knowing that I'm able to buy that scarf, gives me a satisfaction that is actually higher than me actually buying that scarf. It's like, I know I can afford the scarf, which makes me happy, and I have an extra $1,000 in my bank account, which also makes me happy. Whereas if I bought the scarf, like, I know I can buy the scarf because I bought it, but I lost $1,000, so it literally makes me less happy. Now, that's not to say I don't enjoy my life. Like, there are things that I do enjoy. Like, I probably pay more than most people for a hotel room, though I'm still not super extravagant about it, on vacations that I go to. And that's because I much rather pay for a good time compared to stuff. You see, the reality is looking rich actually makes a lot of people poor, right? Like, the biggest buyers of designer labels is not the rich, is the middle class. The rich don't need to look rich because they know they're rich, and so they just keep playing the game of money and becoming richer. The sixth thing I want to talk about, if you're serious about your money journey and you want to build wealth, is that investing is not optional. Like investing in real estate or investing in stocks, it really isn't optional. And the reason is because of inflation. And so you'll realize that even if we invest over the next 40 years, 30 years, and you make $1 million, you'll realize that $1 million in 30 years is like $200,000 today. It's not worth that much. And so investing isn't for people that want to become rich. Investing is just for people that want to maintain their current standard of living plus a little bit, like maybe like 20% more. Investing won't make you rich, but it will protect what you have right now and give you a little bit more. And so it's not optional. Like, unless you want to live poor in the future, it's not optional. And here's a bonus tip. If you're not investing because you think the stock market or real estate is too risky, chances are you think it is too risky because you have ignorance. Like, you don't know about it. Of course you think it's risky. And so once you learn more about it, and I don't mean learn more about it from the internet, Reddit, or your uncle. I mean like actually read books on personal finance that has published data on how investing works and the results investing has brought for different people over time. Then you'll realize that there are certain investments you can make that are actually not that risky, depending on how you set it up. For example, no one has ever lost money if they put money in the S&P 500 fund for 20 years. That's just a fact. And the final thing that I think keeps a lot of people poor and away from building wealth is perhaps the most important one, because it's psychological. Wealth has to be something that is internally validated. Wealth cannot come from external validation. You don't need someone else to tell you you are wealthy. Like, you know whether or not you are wealthy. And you don't need to impress anyone with anything that you buy. I have a friend that comes from very little, and every time they come across a little bit of money, they like to spend it because they never know when they'll lose it all, and they never know if the next dollar will stop coming in. And so when a dollar comes in, they better spend it and enjoy it today. Unfortunately, that's the mindset of so many people that didn't grow up with a lot. But the reality is, in order for you to have more, you need to be able to keep what you make and invest the difference. That's just how the game works. And so if you have a mindset that goes against how the game is played, it's not going to turn out well financially for you. If you need somebody from the outside to tell you that you are wealthy, you will never be truly wealthy. And it's not until I really understood all of these characteristics that I actually upped my income from about $25,000 a year to now I have a total compensation package of over 6 figures as a teacher, and I'm super grateful for that. And if you want to learn more about how I did that, you can watch this video right here.